This is Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth Archeological Park. It's located in St. Augustine, Florida. So come join us for a tour. This is a statue of Pedro Menendez de Aviles, the founder of St. Augustine. Okay, first stop is Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth. So this is a replica of a silver salt cellar. This salt cellar was discovered on the grounds in 1909 and said to contain ink dating to the early 16th century. All right, so they're telling me this is the original coquina cross that Ponce de Leon placed in 1513. Same spot, never moved. Legend says that Ponce de Leon laid the coquina cross to mark the location of the natural spring. Discovered by B.A. Pacetti in 1874, the cross is 15 stones long and 13 stones wide. This stone house is said to contain the legendary sulfur-rich spring that Ponce de Leon is reputed to have discovered here in 1513. The freshwater spring is referred to by Spanish historian Antonio de Herrera y Tordesillas during the 16th century. According to legend, the spring is said to reverse the aging process and cure sickness. The Fountain of Youth spring water. They say Ponce de Leon drank from this spring, April 2nd, 1513. And I'm going to try it myself. All right, so here it is, the Fountain of Youth. Saying this spring was discovered in 1513 and was recorded a landmark in a Spanish grant. And here it is, flowing out. I got my cup. All right, so here it is. Delicious. Yeah. I feel younger already. This is a replica Spanish helmet from the 16th century, part of a pair. Yeah. Fits perfectly.
Yeah.
A painting of the Fountain of Youth. That's why we're here. Some pig teeth and jaw fragments, gun flints. Some salt glazed stoneware, bronze spikes, some medicine bottles and a clay pipe up on the top right. These are some fragments of some casa bottles. Some English ironstone on the right and just some miscellaneous broken household items on the right. There's several types of pottery. On the left is some English Delft pottery, English slipware in the middle, and American slipware on the right. All right, peafowl at the Fountain of Youth Park. We're expecting to see lots of peacocks today. Peacock in full plume. There's definitely a lot of peacocks, and they're all showing off. Hi there. Looking fancy. So peacocks like to nap in the shade. It's a lion fountain. Okay, we're going to go to the planetarium.
No, it's a new event. You guys want to go see the show? Oh, you need double chin.
This is a modern sextant. This is a quadrant. This is a traverse board and an hourglass. This is an astrolabe, cross staff,
Oh, that'd be nice. Very comfy.
broad axe, and a draw knife. Mallet and a chisel, and an adze. Some chip off wood. So this monument marks the site of an ancient Indian village called Saloy in the 16th century. This is a Spanish cannon, a long 9, dates back to 1750. An old anchor and cannon. It's a statue of Chief Saturwia. This is the Timucuan burial exhibit. In 1934, human remains of 90 Timucuan Indians were discovered during digging operations, the earliest Christian burials of Native American people in the United States. This is a replica of the original mission church. Check out the blacksmith shop.
All year long except for Christmas. Now, we know on the first expedition, they brought 8 tons of it with them. And we didn't just bring our steel, we also brought all our tools and equipment as well. And the most important piece of equipment in the blacksmith shop is you're hired. You're right. It's hot fire. We call it forge right here is the heart and soul of the entire operation. Without it, I can get still hot enough to do the things they do to it. Of course, well, let's just say on a beautiful day like today, I'd rather be out fishing. I mean, come on, look, so close yet so far. So y'all agree with me, I'm not the only one. Now this forge, I'm not burning coal, much like iron, there's no coal deposits in Florida. So what I'm burning here is wood and charcoal. Now, that doesn't mean you get to go home and try to make yourself a sword in your barbecue grill, okay, mister? I see the twinkle in your eye. I know, yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's not gonna work out because it doesn't get hot enough on the grill. The temperature there tops off at about 700 degrees. And that's because that fire is only consuming the oxygen around it. Don't get me wrong, 700 is plenty hot to hurt someone real bad. But to a smith, that is still very cold. And that's where the bellows come into play. As I continue to pump on these bellows, I'm force feeding large quantities of oxygen to this fire here. With these bellows, I can reach temperatures of 2,500 degrees. Hey, you still think Florida gets hot? Welcome to my world. Now, this temperature represents melting steel. It's when all the magic happens. I can take this piece of steel, I can cut it right in half, I can pull on it, stretch it out, flatten it out, I can punch holes through it, I can twist it, I can turn it, I can bend it, fold it, I can give an example, actually. I can stand right here, right now, and wave hi to you with it. Watch this. Ready, 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 ready. Hard. And I'm not worried about it breaking. Why? Because it's squishy. Now what I can do, I can make you something that's still historically relevant to this park. As we know, the Fountain of Youth is an archaeological park. And oftentimes we get all these archaeologists to come out here and start working their dig sites and whatnot. And the one thing they will always do, the most common artifact found in places like this here are these nails. But not just any nails, no. We're talking colonial nails. Now I'm sure y'all see little fireflies flying around. They don't hurt. But let's just say, when I first started working here, my beard was down here. Hey, you laugh, but you know what? It's much cheaper than a barber out here. Is that right, brother? Should be ready. There you go, nice and bright, nice and squishy. I'll start by working my first two sides. Quarter turn, next two sides. Go back to my first two sides, I got my hammer slightly and start rotating back and forth. So get that point drawn out that I'm looking for. Alright, so we have our nail, kind of, because it's still too long. So now we cut it down to size using this upside down chisel, known as a hardy. Stick it in the hardy hole, you pick the length you want, give 4 or 8 notches. Careful not to hit too hard. You don't want to cut it off just yet, because you can see my nail's still slightly warped. Let me make sure I straighten that out. So now I'm going to go back, smooth out these hammer marks, make sure it's nice and straight, nice and smooth. Alright, so we have our nail. We're still missing something right around here. What are we missing? The head. Now, the best, quickest, easiest way to put a head on a nail, you might not believe me when I tell you this, but I'm telling you anyway. The best, quickest, easiest way to put a head on a nail is, you hit the nail on the head. I know, sounds like a bad joke. Nice and tight. Break it off where I notched it, and then I hit the nail where. And just like that, folks, we have the head to mark. Am I grabbing that nail with my bare hands? No. And that's because I like my fingers. I like these tongs too. They remind me what nice people blacksmiths are. Did you know back in those days there's no such thing as dentists? Oh yeah, you got a loose tooth, no fret, swing on by, visit me. I'll take care of you real quick. Open up, y'all, and see. Come on, I'm cheaper than a dentist. Sorry I tried. But here you have it, folks. A colonial square.
Oh, that's really cool.
Now let's see if I nailed it. Y'all get the point?
Unit soldiers. They brought 200 firearms, being muskets, arquebuses, and calibers. There are only 2 requirements for these 3 guns. First, it must be made of one solid piece of hardwood, no knots, no cracks, no splinters. Second, it must have a ball mold to it. It can be any caliber you want, as long as there's a mold to make the shot. When I say shot, I mean the bullet, the projectile. Solid lead ball or a bag of BBs. Parts of the gun would be the stock, the trigger, a pan, serpent, and barrel. What gives it its name and its ignition source is this concord in my hand called a match. It's going to burn very hot, very slow, foot an hour. Kill range for the gun 40 to 60 yards effectively. It will kill at 200 to 300 yards. You do not know how accurate it would be. If I'm lucky, I would hit a building across the field. A musket, it's here in St. Augustine. It's not common. They're just too big and heavy. There are rifles, but rifles are so expensive and time-consuming to reload that they're not practical for soldiers. These are not your primary weapons. The primary weapon of the time is still a lance, a pike, sword. But as the musket and arquebus do become more popular, the locks are going to start changing. From the matchlock to the wheel lock to the snap hunts, the dog lock to what we know as a flintlock. This is your standard muzzleloader. Everything is going down the front. Priming charge first. To prime my pan, I'm using a very fine grain powder. All black powder is charcoal, sulfur, and potassium nitrate. Shut your pan. Blow off excess powder. Cast your gun about. Charge your piece. Each bottle carries enough powder to fire one shot, and one shot only. Put that on the muzzle of the gun. Wadding will then follow. Wadding in Europe would be felt plugs dipped in oil. We're using plugs of moss more commonly. Shot is going to follow. Solid ball or bag of BBs, as I said. Run everything down now as one. Make sure it's seated. You turn your scouring stick. Without it, I could not fire my next shot. Catch your gun about. Take your match. Place it to the jaws of the serpent. I'm now going to give two commands. To present your piece and give fire. If you do not like loud noises or have sensitive hearing, cover your ears at this time. I strongly recommend covering your ears at this time. Let your pipe! Cover your ears! Good! Fire!
Did you hit it?
I would like to thank you for your time. Have a great day.
So we're going to take a look at the St. Augustine's workboat. Probably had like 20 men rowing this thing. This is a replica of the watchtower, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to climb this thing. See what type of view we have. Some more cannon displayed here. I'm going to make the climb. 3 stories. And we'll be on guard for any English ships. So Francis Drake got us once, that's shame on us. If he does it again, that's shame on me. Alright, we'll start off with a view of the river, the Bridge of Lions in the distance. And a view inside the Fountain of Youth Park. The Menendez Settlement Field, rebuilding the past. So we're going to take a look at some of these archaeological sites and some partial replicas on the in situ. A little map of the Menendez encampment. And some wooden frames of colonial settlements of Menendez's St. Augustine. Pedro Menendez de Avila's 1565 settlement only survived for 9 months when hostilities between the Spanish and Timucua forced Menendez to relocate across the river to Anastasia Island. Archeological excavations in 1975 to 1977, and later, again in the 1990s, by Dr. Kathleen Deegan, confirmed the site to be of Menendez's 1565 settlement. So there's several archaeological dig pits here. We'll look around and see some of them. Here you can see the rectangular outline of one structure. This is a larger rectangular structure. This is a circular archaeological structure. And this monument commemorates Ponce de Leon's landing in present-day St. Augustine, Florida. What's going on? Hi. This is a statue of Juan Ponce de Leon. So the owl totem from Huntoon Island State Park. And we're going to take a look at this replica here. I think the original one is in a museum in Jacksonville. Another owl totem.
I see you're on the move and we can tell you anything you'd like to know. Essentially,
Okay.
we're hanging out in the kitchen, enjoying the breeze at the moment.
Okay.
All of these different bones and hides you see up are going to represent animals that are native to Florida and would have been used and eaten and traded for by folks living all over what's now the United States.
Okay, that's a sponge.
Yep. That
Okay.
one particularly came from Tarpon Springs. We've got some bison bones up there, and
Right.
then a modern Florida deer skull.
That's a deer skull, which is the, okay, so the bison bones would be like this one right
Yes,
here.
that is a small femur and then a small shoulder blade.
And so
In our
bison
bone
used to
box
be in
there-
Florida, or?
Absolutely, they were our first snowbirds. They'd come
Oh.
down from the mountains up north when it got too cold. They leave before it got too hot. So admittedly, they are not coming this close to the coast. It is primarily Lake City, the Ocala National Forest, near Tallahassee. So for those items, like our sponge, they're going to be valuable trade items here.
Okay, is this rabbit? Or,
Yep.
Okay. This is what?
Beaver
Okay.
and raccoon.
Okay.
And for beaver, anywhere there was running fresh water in Florida, there used to be beaver. Now you can truly only find them out by the Tallahassee Panhandle area.
This would be a turtle or a tortoise?
Technically a tortoise. It is
It's a
just
land.
terrestrial. We will call it an
Yeah.
eastern box turtle, but it cannot swim. The other one is a red ear slider turtle, and that one is
That's a,
aquatic.
okay, so the other, so the turtle is in the water.
Yes, all tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises.
I got you. Okay. And then this is
Deer antler.
deer antler. Okay.
And particularly that's used for percussion flaking. So when you're,
Oh,
say, kind of, you get your arrowhead or the shape of the projectile point that you want and you need to detail it, you
Oh.
need to sharpen it, you're going to use percussion and essentially take that tip of the antler and, in a mastery of physics, press it and apply pressure in certain points to
Okay.
flake off different bits that you
Oh,
want.
wow.
The whole
Okay.
process is known as flint knapping, but the antlers are a big tool for that.
Okay. And is this an alligator? Or?
It is,
Okay.
for sure. Small gator too, but it's,
Yeah.
so kiddos can shake hands with it and you can say you touched a dinosaur.
Okay. That's a deer here.
Yep, young buck. It's about the average size of a modern Florida deer. They do not get much bigger than that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And if you have any questions, I promise I will talk at your off.
Okay.
In our bone box, just in front of our bedroom there, we actually have a full-grown adult bison shoulder blade. That one is the small one. More into the
So we got a family here.
But back then, bison are huge. They're coming down to navigate.
Some stakes in a round circular formation. Prehistoric technology of the Indians. And we're learning about some interesting tools. It looks like a home that doesn't have a roof. This is a Timucuan home, a noti, an enclosed family home.
But don't worry, they are being brought back, and there are some out in by you guys now in Plains Ferry.
An old Timucuan traffic cone. Make sure that nobody goes into the home when they're not home. They didn't have locked doors, so you got to respect the cone. All right, pumpkins, squash, and a whole bunch of other vegetables. All right, so assortment of fossils here. Could be a tortoise. Looks like a shark. Yes, a shark. 3 sets of shark. A bison shoulder blade. So they were telling me that bison used to roam Florida back in the day. A gator scoot. Gator jaw knives. Beaver skulls. Bobcat skull. A raccoon skull. A big gator skull. (1770s) era British anchor, long-shanked anchor, and these are replicas of the USS Constitution cannons. Ship was launched in 1797. With a very old and rusted anchor. So these large clay jars are called Tina Jones, the early Spanish water urns. Old anchor. So this monument marks the site of the first fort, San Juan de Pinos, built by Pedro Menendez de Aviles in 1565. It was destroyed in 1586 by Sir Francis Drake. Artillery post, replica. So these are 18th century cannons, recovered from various locations in Florida and the Caribbean by wreck salvage operators. Old rusted cannons. Very large collection, about a dozen of them. I fired the cannon. All right, haul on the 3 ropes. So this is a ratio 1-to-1 for the first one. This one is a ratio 2-to-1. That's a little bit easier. And a ratio 4-to-1. So 40 pounds goes up like it's nothing.